All right, let's go ahead and get started so we stay on time. So remember, get this in your brain. Disarm or fight or flight. Disarm. Disarm, 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 disarm. Now we're going to talk about how to disarm people even in situation questions, which doesn't even seem like that makes any sense, but I'll show you. I know. Crumbs. Crumbs on me. Okay, so now we're gonna focus on situation questions. All right. So did you see when I was communicating with Sam? Do you see how fast I went through connecting questions? Yeah. Like how fast do you think I went through those? A minute, half? Yeah. What's one big mistake that a lot of new people make in the connecting stage? They stay there too long because they go down rabbit holes. Talk about the weather. Now, one thing I want you to avoid, just be careful with saying, how are you doing today? How's it going? Why do we not want to go there? If we can help it. It just makes you sound like every other salesperson. How many other salespeople say that to them? How are you doing today? How's it going? Okay. I even got on a sales call review of a guy the other day, and he said, how's the weather where you're at? Okay. Everybody says that, so you immediately put yourself in everybody else's shoes. They view you like they view every other salesperson, and that is not disarming them. That's causing them to get into the fight or flight bucket very, very quickly. I'll talk with you at lunch, too. I know you were asking me a question. Okay. I didn't mean to ignore you and Ace. Okay. I was responding to the team. So we want to be careful with that. Now, a lot of times in connecting questions, we forgot to go over this. In connecting questions, people will go down rabbit holes, okay? And they'll let Sam just start waffling, and then 5 minutes later, they're still in connecting questions. That's not where you want to be. Connecting questions are just meant to start the conversation and then get into this part, the engagement, okay? So this right here is where the sale's made. This right here is where the sale's made. This right here is giving you permission to go here. This is not where the sale's made. Sale's not made in connecting. It's made here. It's made right here. It's not made at closing. It's not made in connecting. It's made right here. This right here. Especially here, here, and here. This is the strength right here. But first, we have to get some facts. Who is this prospect? What's their present situation? So remember, with each sale, we have a person's present situation or a company's present situation, okay? Once we get into solution awareness questions, we have to find out where they want to be, what's their future look like, their objective state. Right now, in situation questions, it's all about what's their current state. What's their current situation look like? Okay? This is pretty easy. Now, these questions, there's really not much emotion here. It's mainly facts. We can clarify off the facts, but we're not necessarily going to probe that much. We're not really pulling out a lot of emotion here. That's meant for more here and here and here. That's where the emotion comes out. I'm not saying you can't every once in a while. It just depends on the circumstance and the situation. But you're not necessarily going to ask them, how long has that been going on? Has that had an impact on you? Not very much here in situation questions. It's mainly for here and here. Okay? Just wanted to clarify that. So typically, especially with what all of you sell in here, you really should not ask more than 3 to 4 situation questions. Probably 3. Okay? You just don't need to. If you're in a more B2B complex selling environment, let's say that I'm selling, like one of our clients that we just got sells like offline advertising. And so they have to find out a lot of details about their ad spend and kind of what they've been doing and like just technical stuff. And they're probably asking 5 or 6 situation questions, but like that is max because they tend to be more boring, okay? More interrogative, but it's all how you ask them. If you make it conversational or if it sounds like, so for if you're at, or let's say for Amazon, we were back here at Amazon, we were talking to you. You know, what do you do for a living now? How long have you been doing that for? Okay, what is your, like, that's not conversational. So as long as we make those conversational, sometimes we can get away with a few more. But the moment it sounds scripted, it sounds like you're interrogating, the moment this gets triggered or this, okay? That can be triggered here too, so we have to disarm. Okay, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but let's have a couple of people to role play. Who wants to role play situation questions? Okay, Shane. All right, so Shane, let's talk about what you sell. So Shane, what do you sell?
Surhands. So we're selling basically the ability to help realtors brand themselves.
Okay, so you're selling to real estate agents. So you're selling to real estate agents, and what are their problems?
Basically leveraging their time. So
Problem number one is what?
Leveraging time.
Is that a problem?
For them.
Or is that what they want?
That's what they want. So I guess their problem is having a brand that's able to actually.
Okay, so no brand awareness.
Yep.
That's the problem.
I think I don't know how to use Instagram.
Okay, pretty much. Okay.
So no brand awareness, but what's the consequence of not having a brand awareness?
You're just like an every other average realtor.
So not many listings, really. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about listings. You can be the most famous real estate agent in the world, but if you don't have any listings or if you're not selling any listings, you're not going to be famous very long. Okay, so not many listings. That's a consequence of not having the brand. What else?
Another problem is like bad systems and processes in place.
What does that mean for a real estate agent?
So meaning that they're spending a lot of time doing $10 an hour activities rather than being able to generate more money.
Okay. So not a very good system in place. Income producing activities?
Yeah, non-scalable activities.
Give me an example. What are some things they do that are not income producing activities that they shouldn't be doing?
A lot of cold calling.
Okay.
Things like that. A lot of the writing.
What's that? Okay. So Sirhan course teaches them how to get people to come in and view you as more of like him, like the authority, like this is the person that's going to sell my home the quickest, the best price, I'm going to have the best experience with, okay? So they have some major problems then, okay? Now, if they don't get listings, and they don't get the system fixed, what could happen?
They lose money.
Well, they go out of business,
Yeah.
right? So they probably got into real estate because they felt like they could have more freedom, make their own schedule. They wanted to get out of like a regular 9-to-5 job. Is that kind of why they got into real estate?
We do work with a lot of people who are already real estate agents.
Yeah.
For a multitude of years, they're looking to scale their business.
Oh, I know, but if they don't have this and this, they eventually, this happens, right? And then they have to go back into where they didn't want to be in the first place. Do you see where I'm going with that? Yeah. Like the consequences of not getting these things right is eventually they just become commoditized and eventually could lead to them like just done. Mike is better. Okay, so I believe we have your script. So let's take a look here. All right, so let's start with your last connecting question. Like, now, what were you hoping to get out of the call with this? Just so I have maybe a better understanding. Okay, and then let's see how he transitions into situation questions.
Okay, so I guess what was it that you were hoping to get out of today's call from us, just so I can get a better understanding.
Really, I just kind of want to like set up something where like I'm almost like getting leads coming into me. Like I'm not sure.
Can you walk me through the process you are doing right now as far as your lead generation?
Like primarily a lot of cold calling. Like I just started an Instagram like 3 weeks ago where I'm kind of posting like some of the listings I have. They're doing pretty well. I'm getting a lot of likes.
Okay, well, can I ask you before we go any further with that? How long actually have you been doing it that way?
With the cold calling or the Instagram?
With the cold calling.
Oh, with the cold calling? Ever since I started when I was like 18, like
Okay.
2 years ago.
What got you into doing it that way?
It's just kind of like what my mentor told me, to be honest with you.
Okay. And so with the level of business that you're currently, attracting with the cold calling method that you're using.
We can stop. Yeah, because I want to focus on situation questions.
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, constructive feedback panel. Before I forget something, I want to write this down. Okay, constructive feedback panel. What did Shane do well?
Good tactile interaction.
Yeah, okay. Good.
Good body language. Leaning in.
Yeah, he was doing this, yeah.
Good verbal qualities.
Good verbal pauses. One way to make you slow down when you're asking questions or talking is to go like this. This will make you slow down. I mean, what I guess would be... Now that looks weird. That looks weird. Okay, that looks weird. What were you... Okay, maybe do out here. Don't be like this. Okay, don't. Okay, be careful. All right. All right, so if you're a guy, do this. A female, do this. What were you hoping to get out of the call? Okay. All right, that's a little bit better, okay? Valid point there. That was good. So you did really good with, okay, what were you hoping to get out of the call? That helps you slow down a little bit. It's just a technique you can use, okay? What else did he do well? Will, you're going to say something.
I think it's like he's good at taking the relevant details and threading them into his next question. So he's getting a lot of forward momentum, but then you pause and you break him a little bit because he's starting to like going down a trajectory. But
Yeah.
I thought it's good because I know these guys like to kind of react and be a lot. So if you
Yeah.
could take the information and thread it into your next question, you're kind of forward. You're starting to climb the mountain.
Yeah, you're taking them down where you want to take them, because especially with real estate agents, they like to waffle. Like, oh yeah, I've been cold calling since 1974, and my brother Jimmy was in Vietnam, and he got shot down in a plane, and you're just like, what, right? So that happens. So that's good. So he's keeping the conversation to where he's finding out the details, but he's also helping Luke figure out what's going on. Not let Luke go off in a circle, and then Luke's confused on where he's at. Okay, what else? Anything else? Okay, what can he improve on, if anything?
Skeptical versus curious.
Okay, tell me what you mean.
Yeah, so skeptical is like questioning kind of what they said to get them to expand on it. Curious, and Jeremy taught me this, it's like when you're, date myself a little bit here, but before smartphones, when you actually had to like navigate on a map, you would get lost and have to go to a gas station.
Yeah.
And be like, hey man, like what town am I in?
Yeah.
Right, it's very curious.
Right?
You came off a little bit more skeptical, which is a little bit harder in the beginning of the conversation. You have to put up resistance.
Yes. Skepticism is more for problem awareness and on, not connecting or situation questions. That's more curious, okay? What Will just said can be honed down to this.
Are you specifically saying like when I went and asked about the cold calling method, there's almost more direct? Yeah.
Okay, now. Yeah, you want to be more curious. Confused old man. You're in the gas station. You don't know how to GPS. You don't know how to do it on your phone. So you walk in and be like, does anybody know where the high school is? I'm trying to get to my nephew's game. Like, it's the confused old man, okay? Confused old man, confused old woman, just something like that. It's more like you're just trying to, you're curious and you're confused. Okay, and how long have you been doing the cold calling? Oh, blah, blah. Okay, so but what I guess cold calling, like what, I guess that means different things to different people. Like, where are you getting the information to even cold call from? Are you like going, I mean, they don't have phone books. Like, where are you even getting numbers, or who are you calling? Oh, I'm calling leads from Zillow or whatever. That might mean cold calling to them. Okay? You don't know what it means to them. So, when you say cold calling, how do you mean by cold calling? Because I want to know what that is, because I guarantee a lot of real estate agents think that calling leads from Zillow that they're buying is cold calling because they're being sold to 10 other people, right? Okay. So he might say cold calling, but what he might mean is he's buying leads from Zillow or whatever, and that's cold calling in his mind. But he's not going to tell you that. He's just going to say cold calling.
Okay.
So it's just a way to, but it's confused. Like you don't want to say like, well, how do you mean by cold calling? You don't want to sound like that. But like cold calling meaning, or how do you mean by the cold calling?
In terms
See,
of that too,
confused.
like, would you ask like what exactly are you cold calling from, or would you just be like, oh, like what does cold calling mean to you?
I mean, typically, I'm like, how do you mean by cold calling? What do you mean by cold calling? Because it sometimes means different things to different people. Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm buying leads from this lead lender, but they go out to 10 different people, so it's like a cold call. Oh, okay, and who are you buying the leads from? See, that tells me something else. Okay, so it just gives me a little bit more information. Okay. And more importantly than me getting the information, who's it starting to get to? It's getting to his brain, like, right? So there's things that you're asking him that's triggering him to start thinking about what his real situation is, because most of the time he doesn't think about that. He's in it every day. He's just reactive, right? He's a real estate agent. He's posting. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't think about what's going on. Your questions help him figure out what his current situation is. Current state, current situation. Now, when he can see, this is how you're setting it up. You're getting him to see where he's at, his current state, current situation. Eventually, through our problem awareness questions, we're going to help start building a gap from where he is now compared to where he wants to be. Our solution awareness questions get him to envision in his mind what his future is going to look like, or we call that the objective state, what he's going to look like once you're able to help him solve the problems that he didn't realize he even had when he first got on the call with you. Maybe he thought his problems were here, but because of your questioning skills, you're able to help him see that the gap is much bigger, and he's got a lot more problems than he thought he had, okay? That is very hard when you create that much of a gap for them to be like, oh, I want to think it over, or like, I'm not sure if now's a good time. When the gap is that big, man, it's like, now is the time. Like, I had to do this yesterday. That's how they're going to start to react. But the smaller the gap becomes, the more objections you get. Does that make sense, everybody? Larger the gap from your questioning ability that gets them to see how bad their problems really are, they're buying. Smaller the gap, and here's the gap. So here's the current state, here's their objective state. The gap is all these problems in between, and that makes your price down here look really cheap compared to getting all this. Like getting him here, getting him on level for 15 grand seems like nothing, okay? But if you can't help him see that, man, that 15 grand, that's a lot of money. See, I don't know, I need to keep looking around, I need to keep thinking about it. That's like a big bill. See, there's no gap. So they can't see that in their mind. The larger the gap, it's like, gosh, 15 grand, that's so cheap compared to having all that. Okay? All right. What else? Anything else? Oh, I put the word we here because there was something that you said in there, and I want you to say we instead. Did anybody see what he said? I lost it because I was paying attention to everything else. Go ahead.
He said, just so I understand.
Yeah. Instead of saying just so I understand, sometimes you can say just so we understand. There's just another way you can do that. You can say we instead of I there. I think that's what I was putting there. Sometimes I fall in there and I say just so I understand better. Sometimes it's better to say we. So it's more collaborative. So just one little thing you could do there.